TV Makers is sponsored by RIMS, the Albert-vetted digital releasing platform. Welcome back to TV Makers. I'm Ashley Golder, and each episode I dive into the role of a leading industry professional, uncovering what they actually do, and most importantly, how they do it, so we can learn from their experience before taking those next steps ourselves. Today, I'm speaking to Mirusha Jegatheeswaran, a support engineer at ITV Studios. She's responsible for everything from studio floor troubleshooting to post-production systems, and she's one of the key people keeping high output shows on air. Mirusha entered television with zero broadcast experience, stepped into one of the most male-dominated parts of the industry, and has built her career through persistence, curiosity, and not allowing gatekeepers to hold her back. More on that one later. Whilst I've got you, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening or watching. It's the simplest way to support the show. Okay, let's get into Mirusha's interview right after this. I am so excited to say this series of TV Makers is sponsored by RIMS, the industry's digital releasing platform, and honestly, they're a game changer. Whether it's contributor releases, location agreements, material licenses, and more, RIMS makes it all safe, secure, and paper-free. It's fully GDPR compliant and Albert vetted. I have used RIMS on loads of productions, and it just makes everything that much smoother. So leave your paper releases behind and head over to rims.tv to find out more. Mirusha, thank you so much for dialing in for an online version of our podcast for TV Makers. We both have very busy schedules at the moment, and you're all the way in Leeds. So that's why we're doing this over the internet. So thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you for having me.
So Mirusha, tell me, what is your job role? What's involved?
I'm a support engineer for broadcast and media at ITV Studios. I started my career at ITV Daytime 5 years ago, where I provided technical support for Good Morning Britain, This Morning, Lorraine, and Loose Women. So they were the 4 daytime shows. I've now moved up north, so I'm supporting ITV's continuing drama series Emmerdale, based in Leeds. We have 7 studios and we have 4 galleries. And they're beautifully labelled. We've got a red gallery, blue gallery, green, and purple. And the studios are split into those galleries. We have our post-production base on site as well. So I maintain that as well from a back-end technical point of view.
That's a lot. I think that's a lot of fingers in a lot of pies from literally start to finish of a show. I think just for the audience to understand what kind of power you wield now in your job, how easy would it be for you to take down an entire show, something like Emmerdale, which you're working on now?
Well, if you just remove a plug, that's it. Like, you just go into CAR, so the central apps room, and if you were to remove like the matrix plug, I think that's it. Like, studio floors will not have any inputs or outputs, and they will not be able to film. So it's as simple as removing a plug.
Excellent. Okay, so not to get on your bad side then, let's not remove any plugs, let's not remove any
No,
inputs.
please don't.
And I'm not suggesting, if ITV Studios are listening, I'm not suggesting that you would ever do that. So you had zero experience in broadcast, right, before
Yep.
that ITV Studios interview.
Yes, that is correct.
So what did you say in that interview to convince them that you were worth taking a punt on?
I remember the only word that I was high on was passionate and keen to learn. I made it crystal clear that in my CV, there is no media experience because TV related jobs require at least a minimum 2 years in the industry.
That dreaded must-have experience.
Yeah, so when I looked at that particular requirement before applying for the role, I had a gut feeling that maybe this is not for me. But if I do get an interview, it will be a great experience for me as well. So I know what sort of questions I could expect moving forward in the future. When I went through the interview process, I was very clear that I do not have media experience. However, I am someone who's passionate and keen to learn. And I'm not aware of how many women are in your team at the moment. However, I would like to take on that challenge and pursue a career in a male-dominated part of the industry. So I'm hoping you can help me here. That's literally what I said. However, if not, I'm absolutely fine and I'm open to feedback. But this is me. So I had to be authentic.
What did they say to that? I mean, it obviously worked because here you are 5 years down the line, but what did they say to that?
The 2 managers at the time said, "Oh, that's great information. Thank you for, being honest and being open about that. However, you know, we're also looking for someone who can be a team player as well, so, we'll let you know if, you know, you go through the second interview. So thank you for being honest." I think they appreciated the fact that I was very honest and I wasn't lying, that's saying that I've got experience. So it's good to be real and authentic and just be honest.
Yeah, I think so. That's usually my advice to new entrants into TV is like, I'd much rather you be honest so that I know what you don't know, and then
Yeah,
I can help you understand the things that you don't know,
exactly
as
that.
opposed to just make it up and then everything just goes a bit Pete Tong very quickly. Broadcast engineers, support engineers are like the unsung heroes of a studio environment. I think, at least from what I know and understand, a good support engineer is somebody that just gets on with the job. You don't often see them. They're working behind the scenes and they're there to make sure that everything works flawlessly. And if you see one, typically that means something's gone quite wrong. But I want to hear from you, what is the job actually like? What is involved in your role?
So I do a bit of everything now since I moved up north. So it starts off from studio floor all the way up to post production, really. If there's any editors that are facing problems with their edit, we're the first point of contact. At ITV Daytime, where I started my career, there was particular departments for everything. So cameras dealt with it themselves. You had sound engineers who knew what they were doing, lighting directors who knew what they were doing. So we didn't really have much involvement with the studio kit side. However, we had a lot of involvement with setting up the kit on night shifts and also the back end. So for Good Morning Britain, we have a application called Avid iNews. Any feeds that are coming in, breaking news wise as well. So we had a lot of interactions with that sort of stuff as part of my job role. So coming up north was, I would say, a little bit easier in the sense of work shifts because I don't do night shifts anymore. I just do a Monday to Friday or a Monday to a Thursday, 4-day week, and just focus on day to day jobs. So it's very difficult when people ask me, "What is it that you do?" Because sometimes one day I'm doing something, and then the next day I'm doing something, and then I come back to this, and then I start something new. So it's a lot, and it's a bit of everything. That's literally how I say it. It's a bit of everything. Yeah, that's what I do. So, that's how I explain it, really.
Just do a bit of everything. And you know what? If the caterers are being a bit slow, I'll just jump on a grill and just start frying some sausages. What might those bits of everything be? Just so that we can get an idea of some of the troubleshooting things that you might do, or some of the prep work, or even, fixing something that is integral to a show going out.
If I'm going to start off with a studio floor example, if cameras are not plugged in properly, because sometimes, they accidentally plug into a different gallery. So whichever gallery they're in, they will not be able to see the feeds. It will be like another gallery per se that will be able to see the wrong feed. So things like that, you just make sure the wall box patching is done correctly in the studios. A
Mm.
post production example will be if they're not getting any audio tracks on location footage, the audio is not in sync, or if media is corrupted, we tend to look at the back end of the footage. So that's logging into the server side to see how it was recorded. So those are the bit of everything I would say, really. Don't worry, I don't cater. I can't cook, so I don't cater for Emmerdale. But prime examples, if we are relating to studio and post production, this is the sort of things that you could come across.
What's the most chaotic or high pressure day that you've had so far?
I'm going to refer to one of my craziest experiences from ITV Daytime. I was on a night shift setting up the galleries as per usual. And at 1 a.m., I received a phone call from one of the output producers on GMB saying that the internet is down. We cannot see any feeds from Reuters. So, Reuters is like a separate platform where they get all the live feeds coming in. So, the breaking news around the world and etc. So, we're not getting any internet. iNews is down. Nothing's working, Marusha. Where are you? And I was like, I'm setting up Good Morning Britain at the moment. Everything's working for me okay in here. And then 3 seconds later, nothing worked. I wasn't able to load any VTs, nothing. I had a mental breakdown. I ran into GMB's production office. Luckily, it's right next to the gallery. I was like, guys, is everyone okay? Marusha, nothing's working. We need to prep the show. Is there, what can you do? And I was like, just give me some time. Let me have a look at what I can do.
How many minutes
Unfortunate.
until air are you at this stage?
So crews start coming in from 3:30,
In the
and
morning?
yes, in the morning,
Yeah.
3:30 in the morning,
Oof.
to get the kit ready and everything, and they start rehearsing the show.
Yeah.
And then you have presenters coming in around between 4 a.m. to 5 a.m.,
But when
etc.
does the
So
show go out live for GMB?
6 o'clock in the morning,
And what time has the internet disappeared for you at this
one
point?
eight, just after 1 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget that time.
Okay, so we're on a 5-hour time limit at this point.
Yes, we are. 5-hour time limit until the show goes live, a good 3 to 4 hours until crew come in, and especially the director. You do not want the director to know that there's no internet. So,
Are you alone
uh,
as well
yes,
as a
I
support
am I
engineer?
am alone. Yeah, we
Oh,
don't have 2
no.
people on site on a night shift. It's only 1 person. So,
Okay, pressure.
I wasn't relatively new. Oh, a lot of pressure. I wasn't relatively new. I think it was like a year and a half after I started. So I know we cannot touch the network kit because it's a separate department. However, I did go into our central apps room to have a look at the switches if they're all flashing green. If they're flashing green, we are good. G for green, G for good. If it's
Were they green?
some of them were green, some of them were amber. So that's when
Okay.
you know there's something going on, there's a clash somewhere. I called my manager. I'm gonna mention Paul Gilbert, but then I realized it's 1 o'clock in the morning. What am I doing? So, I rang him and I said, "Paul, there's no internet. Everyone's panicking. I don't know what to do." And he was like, "Right, okay." And, this is where we all come together. So you've got me on a call, Paul, the networks team, and an on-call manager. We literally got on a Google Hangout and they wanted me to explain what the situation was. Networks then realized that they had a few issues with some of their overnight work, so they had to roll back.
So they
When they
had
rolled back,
been working on the system, and obviously something had gone wrong, so then they had to
something had gone
basically
wrong.
reset it back to where it was.
Yeah, reset it back, and it took a
Ugh,
couple of hours, and it was fine. The show did go on air.
okay. You managed
So
to fix
Piers
everything
Morgan.
before people came in?
Yes, thank God. Yeah, thank God. We were able
Okay.
to get everything sorted before 3:30. It's annoying because once you set up the galleries and it's not working, you have to close all of the applications down and reset it. So I had to do that for
It
both
definitely
of the
sounds like
galleries.
a "have you turned it off and on again" moment,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly that. And yeah, so I managed to, well, not I, but we as a team, we, collaboratively worked together to make sure that the network was back on again. It wasn't easy to go through something like that on a night shift.
No, that sounds like my worst nightmare, which you were awake for. So, well done for getting yourself through. You've now, since then, as you said, you've moved up north. You're in Leeds.
Yeah.
You're at ITV Studios working on Emmerdale. What's that like? Obviously it doesn't go out live, but there is a very high output. They are doing 5 shows broadcast a week. What's it like working on Emmerdale?
I absolutely love it. Not because I don't do night shifts anymore, it's because I'm completely in a different genre of telly, coming from someone who worked in live to now pre-recording. It's a big jump, don't get me wrong, but it's not as stressful, in
Mm.
my opinion, on Emmerdale as it's a pre-recorded show. The directors and the crew are very calm and patient because they know they can pause for a bit and then carry on with the shoot after the problem's fixed.
So, what is a typical day like for you as a support engineer at ITV Studios working on one of the longest running continuing dramas that we've got in the UK?
It's great. I mean, my day starts at 7:30, and a typical day would be coming in, going downstairs, and just checking in on the crew, just to make sure they're happy with the kit. Some editors tend to start just after 8 o'clock as well, so it'll be good to just check in on them to make sure that they have the day before rushes in okay, the footage is ingested properly, coming through, and just making sure the editors have the content that they need to edit the program.
So, you're sort of doing like pre-day checks almost, making sure
Yeah.
that the studio teams who are going to shoot the content, they're ready and up and running. And then you're
Yeah.
heading over to post-production to make sure that they're also getting on with their work.
Yes.
Let's assume this day is so far going very smoothly for you. Everyone's happy. What's next?
So you would get the odd support calls here and there, or tickets to say that my camera's not working properly or a lens needs cleaning. From a post-production side, it's more, I cannot see this footage, or this footage looks corrupted because there's a lot of red displaying on my timeline. Is this something that you can look into, please?
So it does sound like you're being pulled in a lot of directions. You might have a camera issue, there might be a gallery issue, there might be a post-production issue. How did you learn to become a support engineer? You did your degree, but presumably that degree versus what you actually do as a day-to-day are very different things. So what has made you into the support engineer that you are today?
Constantly learning on the job, because this industry is evolving rapidly and there's always going to be new technology. So I've been grateful with my manager sending me on broadcast engineering courses, as I didn't learn all of that at uni. It's all about having a supportive network around you. If managers are not willing to send you on courses, then it will be quite difficult for you to learn unless you can learn in your own time. It's just making sure that you let your managers know, like, this is a subject or this is a particular area I'm struggling with. I have such supportive colleagues around me. This is going back to having a supportive network, who are very good with sharing knowledge, learn together, and work together as a team.
Oh,
Yeah, so
yes.
I've been really, grateful having those kind of colleagues around me. Unfortunately, I have come across colleagues who like to keep their knowledge to themselves, and I just have to respect that.
Hmm.
If that's how they are, that's how they are. But, majority of my
Well, no,
colleagues have
hang on.
always
No,
helped
but
me.
should we respect that? Why? Let's break that down. Your training, like most people in TV, has been about having a support network around you, people giving their advice freely. I mean, that's literally one of the reasons why TV makers exist, to
Mm.
speak with people,
Yeah.
to learn, to hear about how to do that job and how we can do it ourselves. And then you've just gone, but then there are some people that may not want to give that as freely. I personally take issue with that. I think we've all gone up the ranks because of other people's generosity, and therefore we should give that back in kind. So, where have you found, and I'm not asking you to name names, those gatekeepers?
I am an emotional person, unfortunately. So when this happened to me at first, I was quite hurt. I thought I was a problem.
Why did you think you were
It's
the problem?
I'm someone who doesn't have media experience, so I feel like the people who don't like to share their knowledge is like, you've not worked in media, so you don't know. I
Well,
don't
then
need to
teach
share that
me.
with you because you don't know. Yeah, then teach me. But at the end of the day, you're going to be with this person at work for a good 10 to 12 hours. So you kind of need to build
Mm.
that rapport. You need to build that relationship. And if you're just going to be someone who's constantly throwing negative energy and will not share knowledge, it's going to be difficult for people like me, because I started in the industry when I was 22, like a newcomer coming in. It's going to really knock off self confidence massively. And I was in that boat. I felt terrible.
So, what was it that you were trying to learn?
Yeah, so I've had a few encounters where the feedback that I've received from these colleagues is, you won't know what you're doing, so there's no point in you looking after that side of the system or that side of the department. And I've questioned that, and I said, what makes you think I won't know what I'm doing? Can you teach me? It's a straight answer. No, no, I look after that. When I've gone to senior management to just explain the areas that I'm struggling with, we normally have PDRs. So I mentioned, like, I
What's a
can't do.
PDR?
So it's like a personal development review.
I'm with you. Yeah, okay.
So you have like a talking performance. So I've always mentioned, like, I would like to do this, 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 and sometimes I get the, that's it, that's how they are. So you have to take it with a pinch of salt. And when I heard that the first time, I was very upset, because I used to always just complain to my friends, family, like, "Oh, I don't like this. Why are they being like this to me? Am I the problem?" It made me self-reflect and self-doubt myself. If I don't have experience, why am I doing this job? Why did I get, it makes me question that, really. But no, I shouldn't self-doubt myself. because I am here for a reason.
Yeah.
My managers saw something in me and I need to fulfill that.
Yeah.
I can't let anyone bring me down.
The point of a manager is to make sure that your team runs smoothly. And yes, everyone's got their own intricacies and everyone's got their own different personalities. And your job, I believe, as a manager, is to make sure that those differences can work together. The whole point of your role is to make sure that you have the knowledge to fix something that, if that person that's not sharing their knowledge, right, goes off ill or is on holiday, and then you don't have that knowledge to fix that issue, then what happens? For me, the phrase, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just how they are," is a bit of a fob off, if I'm honest. So, not your words, my words, but they could definitely do better in
Yes.
in managing that scenario. Assuming now that you are learning some stuff, how did you move past that? Are you learning those skills?
Yes, I am. I am. And I think it's just vocalizing to my managers just to say how important it is for me to learn the skill because I am here for a reason. And if I'm not developing or progressing, I'm going to be stuck. And I'm someone who just wants to learn. Like, I would want to learn as much as I can. And I'm trying so hard to take that initiative. But when it's being blocked, it's
Mm.
really making me feel like I should give up. So I am learning, and it's good. And I think one thing I've also learned in the years as well, working in telly, is you shine brighter when you're around the right people. So that's one thing that's keeping me going as well.
Okay, let's talk about RIMS, the digital releasing platform who are proudly sponsoring this series of TV makers. RIMS are trusted by the biggest players in our industry, but do you know why? They streamline every release your production requires. We're talking contributors, locations, materials, NDAs, self-declarations, and even audience consents, all from a single platform. You can use a RIMS iPad, which makes things quick and easy, but one of my absolute favorite features are the QR codes. If you're in a hurry and have multiple people to release, you can have your contributors scan a QR code, sign on their own phone, and you're done. Dozens, if not hundreds of contributors released in minutes. RIMS works online and offline anywhere in the world. It's fast, flexible, and fully GDPR compliant. And because everything's searchable by name, date, location, release form type, post teams can find what they need in seconds. Plus, photos are stored with every form, so matching contributors is actually easy. It's Albert vetted, eco-friendly, and trusted across the industry, so if you want to make your releases a whole lot easier, head over to rims.tv and book a demo now. This episode is sponsored by The Kit House. As a director, I'm always needing to rent kit for my next project, whether it's a fast-paced run and gun shoot or a full multi-camera studio rig. The Kit House has always been my go-to rental house, not just because their kit is solid and reliable, but because they're owned and run by working broadcast professionals. So if I've got a question about a tricky setup or need advice on the best gear to get the best result, they're always there to help figure it out and make the job that much easier. So the next time you're setting up a project and want reliable, brilliant kit to make it happen, pop into their Brighton branch or head to kithouserental.co.uk. This series is supported by Directed by Good, a social impact production company turning great stories into good causes. And what's amazing is they donate up to 15% of every project fee to UK charities. So by working with them to edit this podcast, we've already helped raise funds for some incredible organizations, which I love. They believe every story has the power to do good. So if you want your next project to create real change, get in touch at info@directedbygood.com. You mentioned at the start of this podcast that you got into this industry in part because there was little female representation. Do you feel that with you being a female in this male dominated part of your industry, that's had an effect on your learning?
I think so because I personally felt like I had to work even harder to be seen. It can be quite mentally draining. And also, I am a woman of color as well. So, and it's rare for us women to step into male dominated industries. So, I think that's definitely something I felt like I have to work extremely hard to be seen. and sometimes it's just so overwhelming. It can be daunting as well. So I've come across a few phases like that in my career journey, really.
That's awful to hear. I mean, it's not new to hear as well. We've heard it before on this podcast. I hear it a lot in my own work. You know, the having to push forward a little bit more in order to get equity with other people that seem to just flow through, should we just say. I think what's commendable is though how hard you do push. Again, as you said, it's tiring, it's knackering, it should not happen. With that in mind, then, with the experiences that you found in your own career about, you know, n- gatekeeping, keeping knowledge, and you pursuing that, what advice would you give to somebody else wanting to step into your shoes, especially if they're also a potential female engineer wanting to do something similar?
I think the first thing that I would say that's very important as well is to be themselves, because you might be someone who, like me, coming in with 0 experience, so you would feel, "Oh, I need to be like this for me to be liked," or, "This is how I should be." Don't feel like that at all. You are not a people's pleaser. So have that in mind and walk into the room on your first day, 1, feeling blessed, and 2, feeling empowered, because you are representing, um, future women who want to get into STEM, who want to get into not just engineering, but science, technology. So have that thought in your mind. Don't give up, because although I am an emotional person, it's okay to cry. It is okay to have those emotional downfalls. But at the same time, just remember that you are here for a reason. So I think these are the main points that I would say, and also feel confident in yourself and in your work ethic, because you know who you are.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Well, let's get on to the job at hand then as support engineer. So, what's the best way for producers and crew to work with an engineer?
First of all, I would give them the time to explain it to me. It doesn't have to be technical. What has happened? What are you experiencing? It would be good to know what applications do work, don't work, and we can
Mhm.
pinpoint from there. And then we can take the step by step troubleshooting, making sure that they also understand why this isn't working. Because it's always good for them to know as well. So then for next time, they know what to do. It's good to note these things down because they're common errors, and if I'm not around or if I'm not available, give it a go, and if it doesn't work, let me know. I'm always there to help you.
Let's just say already you've got knowledge that you've just freely given to all these other people without needing to gatekeep. I'm just going to leave that one in the air for the conversation that we had earlier. What do you work on most as a support engineer? What's the thing that always needs troubleshooting?
When things aren't patched properly downstairs in the studio floor, um, so we still
And
use,
just in case people
booms.
don't know, what is patching?
Yes, so the way I explain it is, you have a cable and you patch it into a lovely wall box that you find on the studio floor, and that patch is fed back into the central apps room, which is known as a CAR.
What is that
We
cable
tend to have
carrying?
that cable will be carrying a signal from the camera into the galleries.
So it's like a visual and audio.
Yeah. So there has been issues where we have patched a cable into the correct port on the wall box, but the director in the gallery cannot see the feed. So this is where we'll just go down to check that the patching is correct. It's always good to also check the cables. Sometimes they can get a bit loose or unscrewed because they're SDI, BNC cables. So it's always good to check the wall box side first, and then you go back to the camera side where you just check the fibers on the camera cable just to make sure that they're okay. This is going to sound very simple, but there has been cases where the fiber cables need cleaning. If they aren't
No,
cleaned, you won't be
that
able to
doesn't
see a
sound
feed.
simple. Fiber, if you don't know, is like almost microscopic wires, right?
Yep.
Cleaning
Yeah.
something so small is not a simple it's not like getting your iPhone and blowing the port because it's not connecting properly.
Yeah, so thanks for that, Ash, actually. Thank you for reassuring me on that. Because sometimes when I try and explain it, you clean the cable, like you clean the fiber on a cable. And I'm like, you don't realize that fiber does a lot of work. Like it's a lot making sure it's clean. So it's like you just get the kit out and you just make sure that they're clean and that you put the cable back into the camera and just to make sure that the settings are all correct as well. Operators tend to fiddle with the settings because they prefer it to be this setting or that setting, and they forget to put it back to default. So there are small things like that as well that you just have to make sure. I mean, I'm still learning the camera side of things while I'm doing my role at Emmerdale.
How are you learning that? Knowing that our last conversation when it came to gatekeeping is sometimes people could be a bit reticent to give you their knowledge. Have you found somebody in your current team that is giving you some advice?
Um, yeah, so when I know they're on a production break or when they're very ahead and I do get a call to go down to the studio floor, I often just chat to the camera operators. How did you fix that? Can you show me the settings? What is it meant to be? And that's helped me a lot because I'm able to ask those questions to the people who are actually doing it.
Well, that goes to the question though, is because certainly within my side, on the factual side, we wouldn't
Yeah.
usually have the support that you're giving. We might have like a camera assistant that knows what you're talking about to help figure out a camera, but typically it's me. Why do you have to be sorting out the cameras? Is there not another team for that? Do you have teams for certain things?
We do. We actually do have camera assistants, but it also depends on how comfortable they are doing these things because not everyone's comfortable with touching kit, you know. Just hesitant really on whether, oh my God, if I touch that, will that break? So sometimes they also need that reassurance as well. Don't worry, what you're doing is correct.
So you're 5 years down the line now, Marusha, and you've definitely said you don't know everything, but you definitely know a lot more than you did 5 years ago. So what would be your advice for somebody wanting to step into your shoes? What do they need to know?
If if there's someone who's just like me, no experience, nothing. Walk into the industry knowing that you do have a lot to learn, but at the same time, also, I'm referring back to courses now. It's always
Yeah.
good to it's always good to do some research and see if there's any courses that you could go on. Courses have helped me a lot building my self confidence in knowing and understanding the kit. Um, and also, I will now know that I can teach people as well. So giving me that
Mhm.
stability with the knowledge that I receive from going on these courses. So it's always good to do your research and make sure you're asking your management questions. And if there's something that you're struggling with, have that comfortability to go to your manager and say, "I'm struggling with this."
And that they is there anything that you've learned in your 5 years that took you by surprise that you're like, "Ah, if I had known that was going to come up or that was going to be a thing," and it might be technical, it might be a course, or it might even just be like life stuff for a support engineer. Has there been something within your career that has taken you by surprise that you didn't expect?
When I started my career, it was more I had to just learn from my team. I wasn't aware that, I could shadow people. I mean, bearing in mind I did start my career during COVID. I started the first lockdown, so social distancing and everything was huge. But then when COVID became, the norm, I didn't think about going back and shadowing people, whereas when I moved up north, I've been shadowing quite a lot of people, and that's helped me a lot really understand all the different departments and all the different workflows that brings a show together. So maybe if COVID didn't happen, or I mean, yeah, maybe if COVID didn't happen, I would have been able to do that at the start of my career. But I'm not someone that's like, oh, I regret that either.
Yeah, maybe your advice now is then if somebody's stepping into your shoes is to find those, support, shadow someone as much as you can and
Yes,
as long as you
yeah,
find somebody that's willing to share that information, and if you're listening to this, I hope you are one of those people. So that would be your advice, is to find somebody that you can
Yes.
shadow.
Find somebody, find people, find um, a safe circle of supportive colleagues. So just make sure you know that's you've got your people around you who are always going to be there to support you.
Let's talk about Emmerdale as a specific. Are there any specific issues, not issues, any specific challenges with Emmerdale that you and your colleagues have to deal with as part of support engineers?
Obviously, we have to make sure that the recordings are correct to be ingested upstairs into post production. I'm saying upstairs as if I'm in work today, but I'm not. But you know what I mean. So post production can see that footage, and it gets put into the projects for the editors to edit. So I think just making sure that the back end of the systems, so from a server end, um, is looking clean, looking good, looking healthy.
As part of your job, you work with, sound desks, as you said, patching, you've got servers, Avid systems, cameras. I'm just trying to think of what else maybe lighting, power grids. Is there any part of your job that you secretly like to geek out at?
I think post production. I
The
love,
post.
yes, I love the post side. I value everything before that because it's a lot of time, effort, and, everyone's energy in making sure that the show or the episodes that they're filming is perfect. But I love the editing side, the effects that gets used, the dubbing, so the music that gets put in, like when it's a dramatic scene or when you're leading up to something. And it's like, I've only just started watching the show when I moved up north. As you can tell from my accent, I'm someone from down south. I'm a Londoner, and I grew up watching EastEnders, Waterloo Road. That was my time.
Mhm.
So when I moved up north, for me to work on a show and to understand the show, I started watching Emmerdale. And while I watch the episodes, I tend to hear just like the dubbing sounds and everything, and it just makes me just get off the seat. So I'm like, if I feel like this, I wonder what the viewers would feel like. So I'm very I like to get more involved in the post production side, and that's where I do see myself.
Oh, you want to become an editor?
Well, I used to love editing when I was younger. Like in school, I used to enjoy. We had like, oh, make a music advert. So I used to just make these adverts in school as part of like GCSE and building websites and stuff. But editing is something that maybe, I mean, it's only sparked my interest quite recently. So I would love to do that on the side, like an odd promo here and there. Like no harm in trying, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think, if that's what you want your personal career progression to be, then that sounds brilliant. And if you're in engineering and you're listening to this, what would the sort of in-house career progression be for a typical support engineer?
It's really, I'm just trying to I'll explain what hierarchy we have at the moment in my team. You've just got a team of engineers, and depending on how many years you've been here, you then become a senior engineer. And it's whether you want to move into management, you'll then become the technical manager. So I personally think progressing within the engineering team can be difficult. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
think I'll go into management. I love talking to people, but sometimes I don't know if I can take on that pressure to be a manager. I think it will just be a lot. I mean, I'm still young, so I don't know where the future is for me. It's be
Does
open,
sound like
just
you would
try
make
other
a good
things.
manager, though.
Do you? Oh, thank you. I mean, I don't
I mean,
know.
I think very very similar to directing, where 90% of the job is people. It sounds like you've got people as like your first skill, your top skill, should I say, and then the how you manage those people is a priority for
Yeah.
you. So I don't know. I think you could do it.
Oh,
To end our interview, as promised, I would love to know what your top 5 things are in your tool bag, in your box of tricks that you could not do your job without.
the first thing that I have in my little purse, I would say Well, I hardly use, but sometimes when you need to fix things, you kind of need to unscrew and actually have a look at the cables inside to make sure they are soldered properly, or if one's coming loose. I've got a screwdriver. Yeah, so
Okay.
make sure you have a screwdriver in your purse or your toolbox. I do have a toolbox that's sitting on my desk. However, I've got a separate screwdriver that's in my work bag.
Okay, a permanent screwdriver that's with you
Yes.
wherever you go. Number
Yeah,
2?
please make sure you have a pen to write things down.
Yep.
I have Post-it notes because I love to write a lot of stuff down, and highlighters. I love to color. It just makes it easier for me to remember things. I used to build machines at daytime, so you would need a disk image of a Windows build
Mhm.
to build a brand new machine, and it's usually done on a boot stick. So make sure you have a USB as well if you're an engineer who's building machines for the productions. Um, One final thing. I have the keys, so I don't know how it is anywhere else, but I always have a set of keys that I have to make sure I carry around in case I do need to go into a server room instead of me running all the way back down to the workshop and then going all the way back up. Like I don't mind getting the 10K steps in, but sometimes when you are working under pressure, you just have to have it with you at that time. So these are the things I have in my
Absolutely.
bag at the moment. But make sure you have a screwdriver. Definitely have a screwdriver.
Always a screwdriver. If you're a
Yeah,
support
always.
engineer listening to this and you do not have a screwdriver on your person at all times, what are you even doing in the industry? Well, on that note, Marusha, that is time. Thank you so much for being part of TV Makers. Good luck with, first of all, learning everything that you want to learn as a support engineer at ITV, but also maybe we'll see your name on our credits as editor. So I wish you the best of luck with that. Thank you for spending part of your Saturday with us, and enjoy the rest of your week.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Ashley. It's been a great conversation. Thank you for making me feel comfortable and at ease. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you again, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of TV Makers, and a huge thank you again to Mirusha for such an open and generous conversation. And look, we talked about gatekeeping in this episode, so don't be a gatekeeper yourself. If you're learning anything from this series, please share it with as many people as you can. You can watch full episodes on YouTube, listen on any podcast service, follow the show on Instagram at TV Makers Pod, and stay connected with me on LinkedIn for more updates. But until then, see you next time.